The CIA admits to mind control experiments on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is July 20th, 2023. It is the 201st day of the year. There are 164 days left in 2023. It is the 29th Thursday in the 29th week and the 30th day of summer. You got 65 days left until fall. If today's your birthday, your astrological sign is Cancer. Today is National Fortune Cookie Day. On National Fortune Cookie Day, we celebrate the fortune cookie. Most people associate the fortune cookie with Chinese food, but as far back as the 19th century, a cookie very similar in appearance to modern-day fortune cookies was made in Japan. And in the area of Japan where this first made its appearance, there's a Japanese temple that has a tradition of random fortunes called amikuchi, which I believe that's how you pronounce it. I could be wrong. Now, this one's a little bit bigger and a little bit different than the ones that we currently know as fortune cookies. The ones we know today originally appeared in or around 1890 at Golden Gate Park's Japanese tea garden in San Francisco. Years ago, I was installing high-end draperies, and I went to this very wealthy woman's house, and I was talking to her how she made her money, her fortune, was in fortune cookies. This was the early days of the internet, and she started making these special ones that were like covered in chocolate or white chocolate or whatever, but inside was a personalized message for whoever you buy it for. These things were like, I don't know, about as big as a Big Mac. There's a website called Tasty Fortunes. I don't know if this is her website. It's been many years, but I was looking at the website and they look very similar to what she had showed me. 1831, Seneca and Shawnee people agree to relinquish their land in western Ohio for 60,000 acres west of the Mississippi River. 1903, the Ford Motor Company ships its first automobile. 1934, labor unrest in the U.S. Police in Minneapolis fire upon striking truck drivers during the Minneapolis Teamster strike of 1934, killing 2 and wounding 67. The same day in Seattle, police fire tear gas at striking Teamsters there, and Oregon has to call out the National Guard to break a strike at the Portland docks. It's one thing a lot of people don't understand how important Portland's docks are. Because it's so far inland, most people don't think it's really, as relevant as, let's say, Seattle or Long Beach down in California. But a lot of things that are metal that might have to sit on the docks for a long time, like cars, they come through the Portland ports because it's further inland and away from the salt air. 1938, the United States Department of Justice files suit in New York City against the motion picture industry, charging violations of the Sherman Antitrust Act in regards to the studio system. The case would eventually result in the breakup of the industry in 1948. There's a reason that Hollywood became where they make all the movies, and it was stuff like this. One big player in that whole thing was Thomas Edison. He tried to basically copyright or trademark, whatever, basically tried to gain control of all motion pictures being made in the United States. Now, his situation happened years before this. I mean, the man died in 1931. But he chased a lot of the movie makers at the time. They weren't really studios, but they went out to Hollywood, California, because there's less laws and far away from the court system in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. 1940, California opens its first freeway, the Arroyo Seco Parkway. I've driven on this many times before, and it's not like normal freeways. It's kind of strange. It's like down below everything, so you really don't see much of the city in a lot of the different areas when you're driving. Years later, as freeways were built, they were above the homes and kind of went over a lot of things, and normal streets went under it. But this one's kind of interesting. 1960, the Polaris missile is successfully launched from a submarine. The USS George Washington fires the first Polaris missile. 1977, the CIA releases documents under the Freedom of Information Act revealing it had engaged in mind control experiments. The Central Intelligence Agency's mind control experiments, also known as Project MK-Ultra, were a series of illegal human experiments that were undertaken by the CIA between 1950 and 1970. The experiments were designed to test the effects of mind-altering drugs, electroshock therapy, and other techniques on human subjects in an effort to develop techniques for mind control. The CIA was motivated to undertake these experiments by fear that the Soviet Union was developing their own mind control techniques. The CIA believed that if the Soviets could control the minds of their enemies, the United States would be at a serious disadvantage. The MK Ultra experiments were conducted by unwitting subjects, including prisoners, mental patients, and CIA employees. The subjects were often given drugs without their knowledge or consent, and they were subjected to a variety of other experimental procedures, including electroshock and sensory deprivation. As you can imagine, the MK Ultra experiments were highly unethical, and they resulted in significant psychological harm to many of the subjects. Some of the subjects suffered from long-term mental health problems, and at least one subject died as a result of these experiments. The MK Ultra experiments are a dark chapter in the history of the CIA and this nation. I understand the need for secrecy in the CIA, but I think they're just a little, they need a little more oversight. I'm sure they do, and this was a long time ago, but they still, I think, have a little too much freedom. 1997, the fully restored USS Constitution, aka Old Ironside, celebrates its 200th birthday by setting sail for the first time in 116 years. 2021, American businessman Jeff Bezos flies to space aboard the New Shepard NS-16, operated by his private space flight company, Blue Origins. I think I called it Blue Horizons in a video the other day, and I made this whole joke about how it sounded like a retirement home. The whole time I was wrong. It's Blue Origins, which sounds like a fertility clinic if you ask me. Movies released on July 20th, 2001, American Sweethearts. This is a romantic comedy in which an awkward and self-conscious girl becomes the personal assistant to her beautiful megastar sister. Her job becomes even more complicated when she is tasked with getting her boss through a public engagement with her estranged husband. This was a great movie. It had John Cusack, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Julia Roberts, Billy Crystal, Christopher Walken, Hank Azaria, and Stanley Tucci, who had the greatest line in any movie. Alan Arkin was in there too, who just passed away. Billy Crystal said that Christopher Walken in the movie, who was a director, said he was an entertainment genius. Stanley Tucci's all worked up. He's all, there's only one genius in entertainment, and that was Senior Wences. Little lipstick, little fake hair. He had a 30-year career. That was that guy that did the hand puppet back in the 60s and 70s and maybe even the 80s. If you ever get a chance, watch that movie. It's really cute. Born on July 20th, 1980, Gisele Bündchen, international supermodel and former Victoria's Secret model who graced the cover of Vogue and many other magazines. She became the highest paid model in the fashion industry in 2004. She was scouted to be a model when she was shopping. Yeah, she was just out shopping. She's Brazilian. And then she married Tom Brady, the New England quarterback. They just recently got a divorce. She's beautiful, even to this day. I mean, 43 years old, and honestly, I just saw a video of her. She still looks like she's in her early 30s, I would say at least, or late 20s. Guess that's why she's a supermodel. Died on July 20th. Now, I brought this one up a couple years ago, and it's kind of sad and it's kind of important. 2017, we lost Chester Bennington. A lot of people took this kind of hard. He was the singer who gained fame as the lead vocalist of the band Linkin Park. His band's 2000 album, Hybrid Theory, was certified diamond. He also performed with the Stone Temple Pilots. Sadly, he took his own life not too far from where I grew up, actually like a mile. He had a serious drug problem, but actually he was working at Burger King and only to have money to pay for his drugs. And he eventually cleaned himself up and started singing and made history with his band Linkin Park. Sad. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.